Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, Reeling in Holistic Health, where we care about your mental health and well being. I'm your host, Coach Rice, and I want to make sure that you tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I have my special guest on to talk about real issues that matter most. I want you to check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Business Facebook page, also on the Be Awesome Network. Stay tuned. I think you're going to really like this next guest. Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well being. I am your host, Coach Rice, and with me today, I have a special guest. His name is Don Suttajit. He is a brand specialist, life coach, and author of the book called Tidy Less, Live More. Wow. He helps people understand why clutter keeps returning despite of their best efforts. Oh, wow. Drawn from psychology, design thinking, and behavior change, Don approaches tidying as an identity issue rather than a household task. Oh my God, I can't wait to get into this dialogue. So, Don, tell them where you're from, and you know, we'll talk about the whole home environment issue. So tell them where you're from first.
Yeah, I'm from Houston, Texas. Was actually born and raised. We Martha and I had a talk. I came from Chicago, which she's there now, and but yeah, Houston, Texas.
So when we talk about like holistic health, okay, for instance, most people think, mind, body, spirit, right? Where does home environment fit into the conversation?
Yeah, your home is a trigger so obviously clutter is physical, right? And
Yes.
when you see these clutter, it triggers your mental state, right? Um, it could trigger stress. It could trigger, I don't know, feeling of anxiety, overwhelm, all the good stuff. And then finally, through your mind, it triggers the emotion, right? The emotion is the reaction of that, right? And so I don't know, if your clutter is making you think of these to-do lists or something, boom, the emotional is probably stress and anxiety.
Wow. So what are the subtle signs that's in your environment that's working against your well-being when you're under, how would you know if you're under that type of stress? Because sometimes it's so subtle.
Yeah, that's a good question, especially when it's subtle, right? Because if it's, I mean, if you feel it, then you know it. But I mean, when it's subtle, I mean, really, a better way to look at things is, I have it in the book, is to ensure that you're in a state of peace and joy. I mean, once you have that, you, I mean, I really believe that's your natural state. And if anything interferes with that, then something's going on. It's time to dig in a little bit.
Mm. So what made you get into this type of work? Like, what's your
Yeah,
backstory?
my backstory. Here we go. So, I grew up from a parents who are immigrants, right? And so that in itself is already kind of tough, right? Like, I'm Thai and I'm also here in America, right? Like we have our Thai culture and sometimes it clash with this Western world, and so I think since I was young, I was lost in this identity. Like I didn't know who I was and who I should be and all that good stuff. And the more I grew up, especially in high school and in college, I started just following everybody, right? Like the kids at the time were going out, partying, drinking, drugs, all that good stuff. And so I was doing that as well, but I knew deep inside, like, this is not me. It took me years later to find out that I'm more of the camping guy, like sitting back and reading books at a bookstore. But most of my life, like half of my life, I didn't know who I was. And I remember in my 20s, for the most part, I was living in depression and I was hiding it from the world, right? Like I was just masking it. I was joking around, laughing and smiling and all that good stuff. But really deep inside, I didn't know who I was. I even contemplated suicide, and all this was
Mm,
hidden from the world. But yeah, and even after college, I started chasing, entrepreneurship and business, right? Like to the point where I had like a kind of like a panic attack, and that's finally what woke me up. But from it all, but through chasing that, I was really trying to validate myself because I was so empty. I was so had this hole in my heart that I never filled myself. And so I was seeking the world
mm.
to fill that. And so, anyways, after the panic attack, here it comes my 30s, I started working on myself. Did therapy, had life coach programs, did the life groups at church, and life began to progress. I began to find myself, begin to live and express life. And so I turned 40 3 years ago, and I was like, man, now my life is good. I have a great job. I'm stable, all the good stuff. Now it's when I turned 40, I was just like, man, I always thought about those years, and I'm like, man, I want to give back to that. So I'm devoting myself to what an initiative called Live Freely Project to just help people find themselves and what they want in life. And so the first and big initiative is the book. And so here we are.
So when you struggled with your identity, how does that correlate with space, your living space? Like, what does identity have to do with your space?
Yeah, for sure. There was a moment. So during my 20s, I was just cleaning all the time. Every weekend, like all the time. I was stepping on stuff and all that good stuff. Um, One day it just dawned on me. I sat on the floor and I just kind of looked around and I'm like, man, I'm looking at my old college books. I'm looking at I used to want to be a DJ, so I had DJ equipments and things like that. Old clothes, old bougie clothes and I began to see that like, man, I have a clash of identity. I never really defined myself, right? And so that was kind of like the first moment where, something really clicked. Like there's something here about identity that I didn't look into. At the time I was looking into, I was going to Barnes and Noble to look for organization books. I was watching YouTube, right? And shows like Minimalist and all that good stuff. But it really clicked that this is about identity. And it really didn't become clear until years later. Again, I told you I worked on myself, right? And I realized my place began to be organized as I healed myself. My place is also like tidy, right? Like so there's a correlation there. And so, yeah, this book is built on that premise that, as you are, your home will be.
Hmm. So if someone was to ask you,
Mm.
"Well, what is your identity now?" How would you answer that question?
Yeah, in the book, I've established a formula. I call it the I am formula. So, really, my philosophy on that is I really think identity is two sides of the same coin. So on one side is your internal, right? And then on the other side is the external, and they both work kind of simultaneously, for lack of a word. And here's how the formula works, right? Like I have this. It starts off with it's like a fill in the blank. It's like a I am. Okay, there's a blank there, right?
Mhm.
Who express themselves by doing, and then you fill in the blank. And so the first I am is your internal state, right? Like it's your internal being. And so you answer it like, I am a creative, right? A creative being who express myself, and now the other blank by doing is outward, right? By doing for me, like maybe painting or writing, right? And so a lot of times we have it backwards, right? Like here in the Western world, here in America, the question every time we ask, like, who are you? We do it backward. Like I am a brand strategist, right? I am a
Right.
lawyer. But that doesn't get to the heart of who you really are, right? Because
No,
that
it
can change.
doesn't.
Like sometimes you can like one day you may be interested in being a lawyer, but tomorrow you maybe want to be an entrepreneur, right? So do you see like these things like they change, but it's your internal state that doesn't change. Like maybe at the core of it all, you're a thinker. And so you just need to express yourself in a different way every now and then. And so yeah, so my formula is taking back the inside out kind of approach, finding your being first and then your expression.
I like that. I do the same. I mean, I don't use the formula, but
Mhm.
I had when I was learning my identity, I had to
Hmm.
understand who I actually was, not what I do.
Yes,
And when I realized I'm a child of the king, I'm a child of God,
exactly.
that's really who I am. And
Exactly.
that'll never change. But all of the stuff that I express myself through what I do.
Yes,
And I
yes.
love how you said that because I always said the fact that I'm a life coach, that
Mhm.
is what I do. That's not who I
Yeah.
am. Because if
Yes.
that goes away, then who am I, right?
Exactly. It all points back to God, right? And what God has
Hmm.
given us, our gifts and all of that, right? Like for me, I really believe God has given me a gift to just think. Like I love sitting around and thinking.
Right.
And there's so many ways I can express that, right? Like I'm an author, I'm also a brand strategist, I'm also a life coach, and among other things. Like in tomorrow I might express myself in another way. And so all in all, and I love that you brought God into this, he has his core, this solid thing that he gives us, his solid I am, right?
Yes.
And that never change.
I like that. So, how does clutter, disorganization, disconnect, all of that? I mean, how does that actually disconnect someone from their authentic self? I'm still trying to understand the,
Yeah, so trying to figure out how to answer this. This is a loaded question.
I know, right?
So in today's world, it's a bunch of noise, right? Like it's from the minute I found this quote the other day.
Mhm.
It goes something like you're the purest when you're a child, and then you meet your parents or something like that. And what that means is like as you come into the world, uh, there's noise begin to come to towards you, right? And so what I mean by that is expectations, right? Expectations maybe from your parents, maybe from your friends, from the world, and things like that, right? To act a certain way, to do certain things, and to you know, be someone that maybe you're not, right? And so how this clutter plays into that. So as you're doing these things, right? Like for example, I was using my story of, I wanted to be a DJ, I wanted to be a whatever. I had clothing that didn't match who I was, right? And so what I'm trying to
Mm,
get at is things are just a byproduct of who you are or who you think you are, right? And so if you think you're this lawyer, you may be collecting things that are pertains to that, right? And so it may not
right.
be you because you never thought about that. You never had time to really look into who you are. You're just chasing the wind. You're chasing this external validation, leaving yourself depleted, right? Which is my life. And so and clutter is just the byproduct of that, if that makes sense.
That make a lot of I love how you said that. Like you had to get rid of the stuff that wasn't part of your identity, and
Yeah.
who the facade
The
that left
facade,
you
yeah.
empty is so key. You're right. I mean, I think
Yeah.
about that. That is, like you said, we come in so pure as a child,
Hmm.
but then when we start to get all of this stimulus coming at us,
Yeah.
rules and norms and all of these things, it start to change, and that it start to take away from that pureness, right? And
Yeah.
start to develop clutter is what you're saying. And it can be clutter of the mind. It don't have to be
Exactly.
your home space as well. It's your environment, period, right?
Yeah, yeah, and you're 100% right. You can actually be extremely tidied and still have a cluttered mind, right? Sometimes some of these things they're just coping, right? Or you're just cleaning to cope, or you're trying to perform. But yeah, all that to say, things if you look deeper, right? Like in the book, I talk about the five whys, right? Like if you really look into everything that you own, there's something deeper. Like you may be holding on to, like for example, when my mom passed, I held on to this fabric that she had, right? And so but it wasn't about the fabric. I was holding on to her this sense of security, this sense
Hmm.
of love, right? Or I was holding on to my college books because it's more about nostalgic and those days, right? Like I love
Yeah,
my college days, and do you see what I'm saying? Like so
I
thing
see exactly what you're saying.
clutter, yeah, clutter is way more than what it is. It's an emotional um uh yeah, fulfillment.
I like how you said that. What is like one powerful mindset shift that can change how the way someone view their space immediately?
I always go back to like at the deepest core of every single beliefs, right? Like is just identity. Before that, I mean, if we want to go a layer up,
Yeah.
I do think identity is the core of it all, but a layer up would be beliefs, right? And so
Hmm.
there's a lot of belief that we have that makes us hold on to things. Like, for example, we all know that let me hold on to this just in case, right? Or
Yes.
let me hold on to this because it might be worth something, right? And beliefs like these, they're at the core of your identity. Yeah, so I think if you shift your identity, if you really think about, man, like, is this really me? Or is this remnants of my parents, right? Is this remnants of my
Mm.
culture? But if you really take the time to look at yourself and really define what you want and who you want to be, that is the most powerful shift because everything, right, like, uh, um, follows that, right? Everything, like your identity is like a boundary, right? Like if you for example, if I say I am an introvert, right? Like I am an introvert, like that already gives me a natural boundary, a natural nose to like don't go out too much, like whatever, things like that, right? And so same thing, like if you find your identity, if you know who you are, what you want in life, you're probably not going to collect as much stuff or whatever stuff that doesn't pertain to you. So,
I like how you mentioned your identity creates a boundary.
mhm.
Because you're so right. If your identity is in Christ, there's certain boundaries that you just won't cross. If your identity, I mean, if you actually even goals, if you have
Yeah,
your belief
yes.
system is powerful. Like if you have a goal
Yeah.
to lose weight, your boundaries have to be set. But
Yeah.
be careful who you hang out with around that time.
Yes.
These are the things that we have to create. So I love how you said that because belief is everything, right?
Yes, it is.
Belief,
Yep.
you could believe something and that's steering the trajectory of your life. So
For
we have
sure.
to, what is that? We have to check out our belief systems, right?
Yeah, like I'm working with someone right now who believe, through his parents that I think his parents put a lot of pressure on him to kind of live a certain way. And so because his dad was very successful. And so this man is not as successful, so he believed himself as a loser,
Mm,
and because of that, like he doesn't apply for stuff. He doesn't do stuff. He doesn't apply for the best job because that belief system. It's like, what's the point? I'm a loser. I'm not gonna make it, right? And
right.
so,
He walking around in laws, right?
yeah, and so that's the power of beliefs. We gotta
Hmm.
definitely audit that often and switch that to where we want to go.
Wow, that is so powerful. So, how do you help people align their environment with who they are, becoming not what they think, who they think they are, but who they are actually, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does. So, I mean, it's not like a linear approach. I think there's many ways. I mean, I think one, you can kind of take someone and in the book, chapter two, just kind of look at your home. I have a lot of exercise in the book actually that
Okay.
kind of helps you get started. But really, one of the first exercises just kind of look around your home and just kind of ask like what really is this? Like again I have that 5 why. Like why do I have this? What's the
I like
point?
the whys.
Yeah, like why do I have this? And it might reveal something much deeper, right? The other aspect is so I think you asked, how do you get someone
to
uh,
align with who
to
they really are.
yeah, I think once you awaken to like, man, I'm not really living a life that I want to, right? I mean, that's the start of it all. You have to accept that, right? That's the first step to change.
Mhm.
So once that your ego has been kind of broken, you begin to piece everything back together, right? So in the book, chapter 3 or something like that, like I have kind of advice on how to start thinking about your life. I have that formula. I am formula, right? And you try to fill that as best as you can. Finding yourself is like a loaded task, and it's
It's a
probably not gonna
journey, right?
happen. Yeah, it's not gonna happen in a day or
Right.
months. But I think I always tell everybody, man, start anywhere, just because
Mhm.
it gives you this adventure. It gives you a direction to go towards. And but yeah, I have a lot of tips in there. Like for example, I mean, you can start with personality tests. You can have ikigai in there, the Japanese little way of finding how you live. And I just have series of prompts in the book as well. But I think it's just asking yourself, man, who am I and what do you want? Will begin to set that journey. I mean, you're gonna be wrong probably a lot of times at the beginning, but like even that is like a success because it helps you kind of knock those out, right? Like like you're like, man, I tried that and now I know that's definitely not me. I thought I
Right.
wanted to be a Hollywood star, but I'm like, no, I'm an introvert. That's not me. So you go on this journey, and once you kind of find out who you are and what you want, like everything will begin to align naturally because you know what you like, you know what you don't like, and I really begin to believe the external world will follow you.
It's interesting how sometimes people, I don't know if you find this in your practice, but I do in mine. People really don't want to learn about themselves.
Yeah. No,
It's,
yeah,
it's it's almost like they're afraid to be
yeah,
introduced to themselves. I say
yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting how that is.
Yeah, I think for me, I have my theory as I was talking to a couple of my clients, and I think it's just the fear of letting go of what you know. Like it's almost like the same guy I was talking about earlier. I was talking to him about I don't know something, and he didn't want to let that go, and then I congrats him for even admitting that. But it had something to do with like, man, if I let this go, it's almost me letting my parents go, right? Like letting everything that they taught
Yeah.
me and all of that, and so the question is like, what then? Like if I let that go, like I don't know what's on the other side.
Right.
So you have to build in that personal confidence and finding yourself in order to even move forward in life. And so, yeah, it is. Me too. Biggest.
I find that, yeah,
Yeah.
it's and it, you have to help them feel comfortable with that
Yeah.
because and some of it is the core beliefs behind it
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
I don't want to think highly of myself, but that's
Yeah.
totally different. That's not the context of learning who you are.
Yeah.
And when you know who you are, you know what
Yeah.
boundaries to create. So,
Yes.
you know, um, when you think about sustainability in that area, you know, how do you, they have their environment together.
Hmm.
How do you help them sustain their environment, their alignment with their environment for,
Yeah.
like what weekly practices do you help them maintain so they can be aligned? Because sometimes you can start something and it change.
Yeah. 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 So in the book, I have a framework. I called it the I am system. I mean,
Mhm.
essentially, you're building a system for your life, and that
Okay.
kind of like what James Clear says. I forgot what he says. You rise to and then something about fall to your system. Essentially, it's kind of the same idea. And so in the decluttering organization space, I mean, there's a lot of folks already teach the you declutter first, you design your space accordingly, and then you find ways to maintain. But for me, I add two different layers. I like I have a diagram that it's like a cycle, right? Like you declutter, you design, you maintain, and then I have live, right? And at the center is your I am, right? So find you who you are, what you want, and you're gonna declutter accordingly, right? If you, I'm just gonna find an example. If you are a, I don't know, I'm gonna use the introvert again, right? Introvert again. You probably don't want things that are loud in your home, right? You can declutter things
Hmm.
that, I don't know, represents big parties. I'm just making stuff
Right.
up right now. And then you design accordingly, right? So you're like, okay, I am an introvert. Let me design my home accordingly. So maybe I do like a little nook for reading or something like that, right? And then I have the other part, it's maintain. So maintain is really building kind of rules in your life, building routines, right? So, and that also takes knowing yourself, right? Like if you're a morning person, you may, I don't know, get up and, or like for me, like I have rules, like at the end of the night, I do the dishes before I sleep. And then in the morning, I get up, I put them away. So you have rules like that to help you
Okay.
maintain these things, but really
Systems.
system, yeah, those are the system, but really I have the fourth one, which is living, which I think is the most sacred one of all. Because the more you live, the more you express who you are, right? You're gonna
Yes.
want to do more, and you're gonna want to maintain all of that. That's this is the emotional vehicle of it all. And so I think I was talking to someone the other day about like, man, Don, I'm going through your little system chart, and the last what I really want to do is I want to be with my kids more. I want to spend time with them. And so I talked them through about building a little corner or something where he just spends time with his kid, and that's his spot, you know. And the more you do things with your kid in that spot, it becomes sacred. If that makes sense. Like for me, I have like a
Yes.
prayer spot, right? And nothing, and I have this little bench, and nothing goes on it because that's my time with the Lord, and nothing will go on it. I won't put any mess on it because that's my sacred time.
Oh,
And so
nice.
it's in the same way, right? Like the more you do what you love, you'll see it as a
Yes.
sacred thing, and again, it'll serve as an emotional vehicle to declutter again, right? In the future, to design again, to maintain, and you just go back in this cycle.
That's nice.
Mhm.
That's really nice. Systems are very important, and I
Yeah.
think they are. A lot of people are using them more and more each
Hmm.
day because they work. You got to have some
Yeah,
type of system that works.
it works. You don't have
How
to
do you
think about
approach a
it.
client who hates routines? They just hate it.
Yeah, in the book, I think it's just redefining that, right? Really, the reason we hate routine is because, again, belief system. Maybe your family, or maybe your friends, or somehow you picked up this ideology of routine is ugly and nasty or whatever, right? And so it's really reframing
Routine is
that
bondage.
bondage. Yeah. So in the book, I really broke it down, right? Like routine, if you look at the core, the etymology of that word, it just means root. And so if you think of it like that, like, man, I'm trying to go from one place to another, just follow your route. And I also have I break down the word discipline as well, which is can be like a nasty word, right? Like, oh, discipline. Like, some people are probably thinking punishment and all of that, but really, if you break down that word, it just means like to learn, like to like a disciple, right? You're just learning. And so, anyways, all that to say, it's breaking down, reframing these words, and I really think if you go back to its very core it is actually a beautiful these things are beautiful words, but I think the world, which is so external, um turn it into these nasty things, right? Like routine is boring.
Yeah.
Discipline is evil or whatever. And so
But that's a
yeah.
powerful mindset shift when you say
Hmm.
routine is like a route.
Hmm.
I love that.
That's where it came
I
from.
love that.
Same root
The
word,
root
yeah.
word is route. Yeah, and
Hmm.
so it's like leading you.
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about your book. We talked about the contents that's in your book. You
Mm-hmm.
got identity, environment, all of that. What message, the biggest message that you bring out in your that you want to convey to the audience to call to action to your book? What message do you want to give them?
Yeah, so at the core of it all, I think I told you earlier, all about Live Freely Project, and so the book is just one of the many initiatives that I have plans for, but they're all gonna circle around this theme of living freely. And so for me, the biggest message, and even if you don't tidy up after the book, like the one thing I really want someone to get out of this book is just find yourself and what you want in life because I don't know, I just think it's so sad to go through this life, this precious life, and never live an ounce of who you are, right? And so I think we owe ourselves that to especially for your audience here. I know you're very faith-based. I think it's an honor and duty for to live a Christian life, to find ourselves in Jesus and to live that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Don, I truly thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. I love what you're doing. I um, love how you are creating this system for people to live free, because who the sun sets free is free indeed.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so, to the audience, if you really enjoyed this interview, this podcast today, please do share. If you know someone who's struggling with their identity and want to live in a life of freedom, or if it's yourself, please reach out to Don. I will have his information, and you can find his information in the comments of the video. And also, please do share because I always have amazing people on. So, just to say thank you so much for joining us today and have a fantastic Monday.
Thank you, Martha.
It's your time to shine.